91.1 FM on Sunday. Trinidad and Tobago's traditional medicine, or bush medicine, practices are deeply rooted from our African, Indian, and Amerindian backgrounds. With an international thrust toward reducing the dependence on pharmaceuticals and the reduction of pharmaceutical bills, Minister in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Shaguanas, said Trinidad and Tobago's bill is enormous, spending $975 million in 2025 alone.
And the trust of the World Health Organization is to incorporate traditional medicines from around the world into the public health care sector. The idea being is to reduce the need for so many of the pharmaceuticals that many national public health care sectors rely upon. And we are giving patients an additional facility to access.
In December 2025, Dr. Shaguanas attended the second World Health Organization Global Summit on Traditional Medicine held in New Delhi, India.
I actually met with the World Health Director General, Dr. Tedros, and he was emphasizing to me that we here in the Caribbean, we really need to open our eyes to this right now. So the World Health Organization has mandated us, as well as all other countries. They are asking for our action plan. And we had to make firm commitments in terms of how we are going to progress in terms of putting legislation in place to incorporate traditional medications into our public health care sector.
This is a commitment, Dr. Shaguanas said, the government is taking seriously. He says they are looking into traditional medications, their competence, etc. He said there will be a thrust to encouraging our medical professions to become certified in Ayurvedic medicine. Travelers between Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados will now have additional options. This as Inter-Caribbean Airlines is expected to begin their service between the two countries later this week. Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Eliza Kur made the disclosure during an interview with the media at the Piarco International Airport on Sunday.
This week, the Inter-Caribbean will be starting 4 flights a week to Barbados on March 9th of this year. And we are also in conversations with several other airlines as well.
Meanwhile, the minister also reported progress in addressing long-standing backlogs at the licensing division. Minister Zakur revealed that over the past few weeks, more than 40,000 motorists have successfully completed vehicle inspections. Speaking further to the media, he said these figures signal improvements in efficiency at the division following delays that had affected motorists across the country. The ministry, he added, continues to implement measures aimed at reducing wait times and improving overall service delivery.
Last week, we have been seeing less persons coming to license offices across the country. Many persons thus far has been complying. Over 45,000 persons have came for inspection at the various inspection stations, and over close to 4,000 people came to renew their permits that had expired months or years before. So we are seeing a difference.
In some sport now, Defence Force FC continued their match to the TT Premier Football League title with a win over the challenging Prison Service FC at the Rarima Velodrome on Saturday night. The unbeaten defending champions got on the score sheet late in the first half, mainly due to some inspiring work in goal by Prison's keeper Jabari Gray. Sheldon Bateau finally beating the custodian in the 43rd minute with a power header. Defence Force sealed the deal with a Jovan Jones item 5 minutes added into added time to move to 39 points. On Sunday, Club Sando FC kept close with a 3-2 win over AC Port of Spain, which took them to 36 points. Sando got an early first half blitz with goals from Jaheim Joseph, Luke Phillips and Chevronez Hamilton, all within the first 17 minutes of play. Robert Primus got a brace in response for AC Port of Spain. And that's what's making the news this morning. But joining us right now is the host of our Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show, Virmala Balkaran. Good morning, Virmala.
Good morning, Carrie. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm doing quite well so far. I had a pretty good weekend. How about you?
Great. I went to Pan for the first time in a very long time.
Really?
Yeah, you really missed out, Carrie.
I think next time around.
Well, Trinidad and Tobago was actually on the global stage this weekend. I don't know if you knew, but it was a really proud moment for us in TNT. Trinidad and Tobago's Jolene Mendez actually accepted a Grammy Award as one of the producers of Doechie's Anxiety music video, the winner of Best Music Video. Do you know that song?
I know that song. It's a song I like a lot, actually.
Really? Well, it's really a proud moment for Trinidad and Tobago. Also, coming up inside the show today, we take a nice trip to Barbados, Carrie, to find out everything that's happening for the elections as well.
I'm very tempted to say cheese on bread, but
no, don't do that. Don't do that.
let's not. Thank you so much, Virmala.
Thank you, Carrie. Looking
forward to it. When we come back, the Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show gets going after this break.
Your stories, your communities, your country. TTT News is everywhere, on the ground, across Trinidad and Tobago, and on every smart device. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Health and wellness, the core of our existence on planet Earth. Let us hear the voices of our very own citizens, our local and regional medical community, scientists and climatologists. Caribbean Medical TV is geared to developing a consciousness in our people in terms of our health and lifestyle. Knowledge is a very powerful tool, and we must empower ourselves with the information to protect against chronic and other related diseases. From the impact of climate change on our health to NCDs, Season 3 of Caribbean Medical TV tackles the challenges we all face, giving our citizens hope for a better tomorrow. Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV.
We don't need no big promoter. The neighbors go be responsible. So when you see the police, tell them come get something to eat right there in the back. Money in the Bacchanal. It's not in the nature. Money in the pocket. This life I wanna love it. Money in the Bacchanal. It's not in the nature.
Join the next generation of change makers on CZIT Secondary School Climate Quiz every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and Saturday at 5:50 p.m. only on TTT. Brought to you by Fruta.
Monday, 2nd February 2026. The time now 6:09 a.m. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Virmala Balkaran. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today. Now let's take a look at what's happening this morning, what's trending over the weekend. Behave. Not behave yourself like when your parents warn you before the guests come over, but behave yourselves coming straight from the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. In a fiery warning issued just as the state of emergency ended, Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bisesa made it clear, if criminals and those released during the state of emergency do not fall in line, another state of emergency is not off the table at all. She went as far as promising what she described as brutality for criminals, saying she will use every legal means to protect law-abiding citizens and won't hesitate to lock things down again if crime resurges. So her message was simple: behave or else. Now, she directly addressed gangs and recently released detainees, saying that if they return to terrorizing communities, they'll be back behind bars. And well, this time, even your friends and family who aid criminal activity could face consequences. She also credited the state of emergency and intelligence-led policing for a sharp reduction in murders last year. And she claimed 257 lives were saved compared to 2024 levels. Well, in some related news, just hours before the state of emergency expired at midnight on the 31st, 117 of those detainees walked free. That's right. 117 people who were being held under preventive detention orders were actually released from the Eastern Correctional and Rehabilitation Center in Santa Rosa. Now, 32 were released on Friday and another 85 yesterday. Pictures showed us detainees literally walking past barricades and heading right back into society. Police confirmed the releases, and while many citizens breathed a sigh of relief that emergency powers were lifted, there was also some anxiety because people are now asking, what happens now? Are our communities safe? Will crime spike again? So according to police data, 2025 ended with 369 murders. That's a 42% drop from the year before. That's the lowest in more than a decade. But security consultant Dr. Garvin Hera warned that this weekend that the real test begins after the state of emergency. He actually explained that while emergency powers helped, long-term safety depends on sustained intelligence-led policing, surveillance of released individuals, stronger prosecution, and of course, tighter coordination between law enforcement agencies. Then he also raised serious concerns that more than 50 detainees were released without charges being laid. And he pointed out that detention without conviction weakens public confidence and really just allows the criminals to regroup. So in simple terms, locking people up is one thing, but successfully prosecuting them, well, that's another. Now to some culture news. The National Carnival Commission, well, they're about to get a major shakeup. Minister of Culture and Community Development, Michelle Benjamin, announced that after this year's carnival, the NCC will undergo a comprehensive overhaul. Now you're asking why? Well, because government wants culture to move beyond just the festival season and really become a serious year-round economic driver. So the plans include restructuring the NCC itself, expanding Carnival's 365 all year round, building tourism attraction programs, and creating systems that better support local artists, while, of course, increasing foreign exchange earnings. Isn't that the goal? Well, the goal is to reposition Carnival not just as a party, but we want to make it a product, a brand, a sustainable industry by the year 2027. The minister pointed to the success of spaces like the John Cupid Village. Maybe you've been to the Flavor Village this season. And she said attendance was among the strongest we've had in years. She also highlighted reduced costs for infrastructure like the North Stand, new performance venues perhaps, even increased collaboration between creatives, promoters, government agencies, and the private sector. Well, as I said earlier, coming up inside the show today, we take a little trip to Barbados to take a deep dive into what's happening as their February 11th elections approach. And of course, we talk about life after the state of emergency. That and more inside Trinidad and Tobago today.
I am your mother,
aunt, grandmother,
guardian, friend, and I promise to protect you in all situations because someone has hurt you, violated you, harmed you,
abused you,
and you were brave enough to tell me.
You trusted me. You came to me for help.
To defend, for support, to protect you.
No amount of money
or bribes,
favors, or gifts will stop me.
You are most important to me.
You are worth more to me than any material thing.
I will do all in my power,
in my heart,
to make sure that you are taken care of and that justice is served and you thrive. Together, my daughter,
my son,
my child, we will live and love. I will protect you.
Break the silence. Report all cases of child sexual abuse. I'm Renee Sion with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
That time of the year again, my friends. You can feel it in the air. Football, football, football. It's back and everyone's locked in. This is Richard Torpedo Thompson and my Trinidad and Tobago people. I'll stay this straight. Fans make the game. The cheers, the chants, the passion. That's the heartbeat of football. There's only one 12th man that really brings the energy. That's Andre Errol Batiste on TTT. Every Thursday on TTT. Don't miss it.
Well, the state of emergency officially came to an end at midnight on the 31st, bringing with it the release of 117 detainees who were held under preventive detention orders. During the period of emergency powers, that is, Trinidad and Tobago recorded one of its most significant crime reductions in over a decade. This, according to police statistics, 2025 ended with 369 murders, which is a 42% drop from the previous year, making it the lowest figure in more than 10 years. The country also spent a total of 301 days under the state of emergency since December 2024, with murders, robberies and break-ins all showing measurable declines during that time. Now, regional security consultant Dr. Galvin Hero has said these results were not accidental, pointing instead to a combination of intelligence-led policing, operational coordination, and the legal authority provided by the state of emergency. He joins us now for the second time in a few weeks to help us unpack what worked, why it worked, and what lessons we can carry forward. Dr. Hero, thank you so much for being with us on the show again this morning.
It's always a pleasure, and I think it's a good conversation for us to start off the week.
Yes.
Looking at, just as you said, what the data has produced.
Yeah.
And you're quite correct, and the data is there to show empirically that there was a reduction in crime. So the association to that reduction is that there have been a suppression of crime. And yes, the state of emergency and the legal muscle that it gave to law enforcement would have assisted that. But there was more to that. It involved the coordination, the intelligence gathering, and the working together of all agencies focused on keeping crime suppression down and more so targeted policing. My advice is that there needs now to be a continuance of that trust, pushing forward in that we have seen where the combination of intelligence, proper planning of operations and execution, and more so the target policing can work. So let us maintain that going into this post-SOE period. And of course, with some other adjustments. So it's not just the SOE alone, it's the SOE supported and of course complemented by this new approach with regard to the policing aspect or the law enforcement aspect.
Yeah. So now you just spoke about the intelligence gathering. You spoke about the legal authority of the SOE. Now, can we get really into that and explain how that balance actually translated into real results on the ground?
Of course, because I mean, it's clear to see, and we've heard it in the, when the TTPS and the other agencies are having their press briefings and they're keeping us up to date, which is complimented. It's that we've recognized now that as law enforcement, there are certain types of, or certain targets, categories with regard to crime fighting. And therefore, the intelligence is the utilization of the architecture, the technology, and all of the other agencies that are gathering intelligence to work towards some of these targets. I added, however, that post-SOE, that sort of approach is good. It's expected, but it's more applicable when at the strategic level, we can now identify short, medium, and long-term goals. In that way, we work smarter. It gives the citizenry an opportunity for measurement, for monitoring, and for of course, evaluation and assessing the successability of our Homeland Security, TTPS, and all of the other agencies I would have mentioned. But it also gives you a drive as to what you can gauge for in the short term. For instance, on top of us is the Carnival. That's a sensitive period. There's a high demand for law enforcement because of the large crowd gatherings, that sort of indicator that crime will rise. It goes up and down, the roller coaster around Carnival, break-ins, carjackings, robberies. People are looking for money, sometimes even just for entertainment. So there's a high demand. And therefore, that could be within the short-term frame of what are some of our intentions, what are the objectives that we intend to achieve. But I think when you set short, medium, and long term, especially when it relates to national security, it gauges you to work smarter and to work more collaborative and as I always say, collectively towards achieving these goals.
Now, we've been talking about the detainees this morning, 117 detainees. Now, a lot of people are focusing on that and saying, well, you know, that's the amount of people, that's the number of people we had, we caught and we took off the streets. But you've emphasized that the success of this is not judged or solely judged by the arrests. How should the public really be measuring the success of the state of emergency?
Well, what it showed is that it gave the opportunity to detain people under the detention orders. It gave the opportunity to remove certain people of interest, persons of interest, from various communities, and they were held. I would have gone further to say, however, there was a good enough period to work closer with the prosecutorial process. Those who are in key systems that can support the prosecutorial process, the judiciary, for instance, and we needed to see a lot more completion to all of this. So the arrest and the detaining is one thing, but there should have been a drive now to ensure, can we move this from just apprehension and detaining towards actual prosecution and incarceration? And I think that is where there was a gap. That is where I would advise that we need to build on. And going forward, it is expected, hopefully, that while these people were held, that there would have been an opportunity to get intelligence and, of course, to build on certain aspects of further investigations while these people were behind bars or at least detained during the period. It's not just detaining and holding. It should have been detaining and cultivating information that could have been very relevant now to present crime fighting tactics that we are going to be facing in the next 3 to 6 months.
There are a few things that you've specifically named: predictive policing, data analytics, strong interagency integration. Now, how confident are you that these tools will actually help to maintain lower crime levels without another SOE?
Yeah, if done properly, if done according to how it's supposed to be done. For instance, that what we've just spoken about, all three of them, the key to that is systems integration, maximizing that sort of connectivity towards the drive of achieving the goals. And there's another one that I would have said there, I didn't hear it mentioned. Maybe we were going to continue in the conversation. I just jumped to it one time.
No problem.
And that is the building of trust between communities and law enforcement. We have seen within the last couple of days where the trust has really shattered based on incidents or a mean incident that would have taken place that is presently under investigations. And when you find the trust between law enforcement and community shattering, it's a rebuilding process. But communities working closer with law enforcement is a key, a critical aspect towards crime suppression and crime fighting. And therefore, that's a big one. But I go back to the systems integration, including those 3 points that you mentioned. We need to review now, and I said it before, and I'll say it again, the national grid. So in all of the good working parts that we're seeing presently with law enforcement and the ministry and that drive towards fighting crime and keeping the stats down, let's look at the national grid again. And one would ask, okay, but what is the national grid? Explain that for us. So the national grid really is where now you would have, for instance, key areas in Trinidad and Tobago in the grid under observation by our CCTV system that allows the gathering of information that can create for you trends that can further develop into tactics or approaches by law enforcement, where we have people gathering, where we have young people, where we have theft, where we have carjackings, where we have breaking of the law. All of those things are put in the grid so that you can pre-position assets, for instance, so that your response to a crime scene becomes a lot shorter. High visibility. It gives a sort of comfort towards the citizenry. So let's review the national grid. Let's see how the CCTV system is integrating with that. And let's pre-position our assets so that we can have a control aspect, a coordinated aspect, and the communications is there to ensure that the command and the reduction of crime is evident.
Dr. Here, I want to go back to something you spoke about just now. You said community, right? Now, we had a conversation about these OSOs a few weeks ago,
yes,
maybe about 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, that failed. And that was a community approach to crime fighting. So you are saying that there may be a disconnect between the communities and law enforcement. I mean, now that these OSOs have failed, I mean, it makes no sense going back to talk about it. But do you really think that that would have had a great impact if it had gone forward? To do just what you're talking about, that link between community and...
It would definitely been a tool and a tactic. It wouldn't have been the only one, but it would have assisted. Why? Because it would have given an opportunity to ensure that there was overwatch on these communities and that key people within these communities, if not removed, would have been under surveillance from a closer perspective. Okay, so we don't have these OSOs. Hey, the national grid. So we go back to that. So that can easily replace the aspect of what I'll call defining or labeling an area as a zone of special operations. Yeah. With the national grid, the data is there. The information is there. Utilize what you are seeing, utilize what you are picking up, and create an approach to treat with the crime in that specific area. There are known criminals in communities that are keeping these communities at bay, that are controlling, and therefore law enforcement needs to know that and maximize the intelligence gathering to treat with that. You don't have an SOE, you don't have the ZOSO, but you have the ability of a model that worked before. Let us exercise that model and use it well.
Dr. Ure, there was a state of emergency and things, got a little bit calm for a while. How confident are you that this crime drop reflects structural change versus just a pause in crime?
I think the narrative is shifting. I see a lot of exercises, operations by the police service that are reaping results. And as I would have said before, now it is, can we continue this? Can we maintain? So the consistency of our success must be exhibited in our ability to do this and do it right. But we'll go back to another conversation that we had when we spoke about fatigue, the men and women of law enforcement, who are we expecting to go back out there now and maintain this crime suppression. So we have to always focus on that. But yes, I think it can work. I think it's applicable. And it's a good opportunity now, and I would do this punch to ensure that maybe the country, these decision makers are listening. We have boasted within the last month or two of improved relations with international counterparts, mainly the US and some other countries. Then, at the strategic level, it is a good time. If funding is low in Trinidad, we're having a dent here with the economy and maybe we can't afford it right now or whatever. But strategic conversations with our international counterparts can lend or lead towards us acquiring, for instance, 2 helicopters that can be used for air law enforcement to support the crime fighting on the ground. Aerial surveillance and air patrols play an integral role in keeping the crime down, in the crime suppression, because you have now policing from the sky. When a vehicle is stolen, you can do there are opportunities to intercept from the air. There's air support. And of course, gathering of information over the large crowd gatherings, the carnivals, the kidnappings, the border control within the territory. All of those are good areas of concern that can justify the acquisition, or as I say, the loan or the ability to help Trinidad and Tobago right now. Maybe we should have a conversation. We need to be out of the box. We just can't sit and think we can't afford helicopters. We're having this challenge, we're having that challenge. Let us then engage internationally to see, can this be a possible for the next 6 months where we can get the utilization of 2 aircraft, 2 helicopters that can support the system. And let's revamp and review and revisit and restore the air law enforcement capacity towards crime fighting. So you don't have a ZOSO, you don't have an SOE. Let's bring in some more resources and let's work together now because it worked before. When I was head of the NOC, we had an air law enforcement support, and that proved itself with the stats and the data as an element that supported crime fighting on the ground, fighting crime from the air, and it will work if it's done correctly.
Dr. I want to zero in on something that your opinion. What would you say is the single biggest operational success during this SOE gone by?
I think it would have been the reduction of homicides. Because that caused people to shiver, in that when you have to see the type of homicides, the crime scenes, the killings, there was a fear over the country. And that reduction showed that we're doing something right, somewhere along the lines. If we are keeping people back from actually going out there and shooting one another and killing one another, and then of course there were some seizures of arms and ammunition. So it worked hand in hand. And I'm saying it was done, it could be done, let's continue to do it. And therefore the homicide reduction is one of the main banners that is proven during the SOE. But it should not be registered as the SOE was responsible only for the reduction of homicides. It played an important role. Let us see what from the SOE was activated, utilized, and maximized for the reduction of homicides. How can we still apply that now in this new space without the SOE? That's the call, and that's the reason now I said strategically the commissioner and his advisories, and of course advisors, and Homeland Security. Let's sit now, let's get on the table and drill into it, and to ensure that we could continue with the same fervency towards the results that we've seen.
Dr. Here, I want to take a moment and shift to organized crime. What would be a bit of advice you would give to national law enforcement to target organized crime in Trinidad and Tobago at this point?
Yeah, but I would have mentioned that,
yes.
In that it should not only just be the gangs and those on the ground, the home invasions and that type of stuff. We have all levels of crime in the country, and therefore there needs to also be a focus on transnational organized crime.
Yes.
And the reason for that, because that carries an international aspect of it, and it's reflected in the type of money that is being moved and the products and on the complex nature, it's a sophistication. So I'm saying that there needs to be a focus on that. There is a transnational organized crime unit or something like that within the TTPS that deals with those aspects. But I think at this point we need to go hard at that because it relates to corruption. It relates to facilitating and utilizing official offices for criminal activity. So the same way that we have criminals planning a robbery or a home invasion, there are high-level people who are sitting and planning criminal behavior or criminality with regard to corruption and transnational organized crime. And I think at this point, the police service, maybe Homeland Security, needs to understand that this is a threat, big time, to our economy, to society, and to how we do business as a country. And therefore, we need to see a different sort of approach to it, not just from an investigation locally. I think we need to be at a CARICOM level, at an international level, associate and link ourselves with some of the international organizations. And what is possible? Can we look at having a unit in Trinidad and Tobago that has the involvement on the ground by our foreign counterparts, be it out of the US, out of the UK, and there's an international sort of unit in Trinidad that can help with transnational organized crime. Why? Because it's transnational, and therefore it can be based here in Trinidad, supported by our local investigators, the TTPS and all of the other agencies, but have with it also the manpower, support resources and linkages to our foreign counterparts. It worked with the Special Anti-Crime Unit, worked with the National Operations Center. It is now a time to bring in our foreign counterparts in country, link that best practice and internationalism with our TTPS and local law enforcement and intelligence agencies, and drive hard with a concentrated effort towards transnational organized crime, especially aspects of corruption and those that are utilizing criminal behavior and raping the country's economy. And who's feeling it? The man on the ground. So it's time now to look at that type of unit. It has worked. There's a model that can work. So therefore, it's something that we need to explore. We cannot box ourselves in. This is a time we need to be thinking out of the box, especially when it comes to our nation's security.
Dr. Hira, the government has said that a plan B is definitely coming. They've been tight-lipped on that for obvious reasons. But out of an entire conversation this morning, I want to extract from this, and I know you keep touching on everything, and I keep asking you to reiterate it, but I want to extract, if the government had to prioritize at least one or two actions coming out of the state of emergency, what should they be going forward?
I think the prioritization will have to be known criminals, those who can be a threat towards communities and societies, targeted policing. I think predictive policing also, not waiting for a homicide to take place as we saw in Piccadilly, then to have to review the cameras, then to have to understand who might have been the shooter, who might have been the intended victim. Predictive policing is knowing that something is going to go down so that you can prevent it. And more importantly, again, our border control management, that was held to some extent. I think we need to look at that also, so that the migration issues of people coming into this country, crime and criminality entering this country, needs to be addressed. So that would be some key aspects of the SOE that I think we definitely can look at.
Well, Dr. Hira, the Prime Minister said this weekend that she's not opposed to another state of emergency. What do you have to say to that?
I think we should give it some space and some time and allow the agencies to do what they have to do. And if within the next 3 to 6 months we see an escalation, we see these things that go back up in the next direction, we see that it's getting out of hand again, and you bring back in the SOE. But I think at this point, law enforcement, and I say law enforcement collectively, with Homeland Security, Defense, law enforcement agencies, are quite confident that they have a hand on this and they can take it down even further. Let's see what they have to do. But again, before she goes towards pressing the SOE button, dictate it from the National Security Council. Give me some short, medium, and long-term goals and objectives. And you hold the agencies accountable to these short, medium, and long-term goals and objectives. So people are working towards achieving or accomplishing their goals. It's the project governance approach. So you're taking a business approach to this thing. I want to see some short, medium, and long-term goals. I want to see you achieve these short, medium, and long-term goals. You do not do that, then we have to look at a option Bravo or plan B. But we cannot believe that we pull the SOE out of the lock every time, because what we're doing is that we are diluting what really an SOE is supposed to be. A state of emergency is a state of emergency. We don't need to go to that, and we don't need to dilute it in that it's business as usual, but we're in a state of emergency. Many people are like, we were in a state of emergency. You know, you would have had some legislative powers.
Because life went on as normal.
But life went on as normal,
Yeah.
you know, and therefore you didn't really feel the effect of a state of emergency except for the legislative powers that might have been given to law enforcement, which was maximized and utilized well. So I'm saying, let us not diffuse the or dilute, sorry, the state of emergency. If you know, like if I don't say anything, we're going back to that. Let's say law enforcement, come on, we can do this. It's show that you can do it collectively, collaboratively, command and control. Let's do this. But give me some short, medium, and long-term goals so that the country knows what to expect in that space, in that sphere. They are held accountable. They work towards that, and of course, the citizenry feels safer because they're now measuring the performance of law enforcement. I think that might be a good approach.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. What a loaded discussion this morning. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
It's always an honor.
Dr. Hira, hopefully you'll be back on the show once again. I always say that, and then you actually came back. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. The time now, 6:41 a.m. on Trinidad and Tobago Today. When we come back, we've got so much more for you.
Well, yo, this is your boy Ricky J. You ever late for the fete so you mash down on the X? Speeding come like normal until you realize how fast things can go wrong. So this carnival, we on a slower scene. Choose to slow down and obey the speed limit. Better choices, safer carnival. I, Ricky J, say so. Don't spoil my name, don't spoil my name. Son, I'm telling you plain. Don't spoil my name, don't spoil my name. I'm telling you again and again. I'm telling you again and again. This carnival, slow down. Don't spoil my name. Son, I'm telling you plain. Don't spoil my name, don't spoil my name.
Join the next generation of change makers on CZIT Secondary School Climate Quiz every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and Saturday at 5:50 p.m. only on TTT. Brought to you by Fruta.
Now listen, this is your boy Carlos Edwards, and as a former player, let me tell you, it's the fans, man. The fans that made the game, that's the 12th man right there. And when it comes to Trinidad and Tobago, there's only one 12th man you need to know. My guy, Andre Baptiste on TTT, is bringing the heat every Tuesday.
Hey young ones, TTT's Terrific Toon Time is just for you. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's adventure-filled too. Join us as we follow the characters you know and love. See what our hero Zach gets up to in Super Z. Dive into the action with Bugs Butt Ignition. Put on your explorer's cap and join Dada and Dada on their next adventure. And of course, we can't forget our cosmic friends on Galaxy Kids. Tune in Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. Don't miss it. It's Terrific Toon Time only on TTT.
Well, I hope you had had a wonderful weekend. Did you go to Pan this weekend? Did you go to the beach? Did you travel? Well, if you're thinking about some travel, maybe coming up very soon, a new air service from Trinidad and Tobago to St. Martin has officially been launched. Win Air Airlines made its inaugural flight on Sunday, which will enhance travel between the two countries. Addressing the welcoming ceremony, Chief Executive Officer of Win Air, Hans van de Veen.
Proudly I stand here before you with Win Air starting flights between Trinidad and Tobago and St. Martin. It's not only special for us, but it's also special for the inhabitants of both countries. The captain that flew the aircraft here is not only a captain, it's also our director of operations, and he is from Trinidad, and he sometimes wants to go back home. And he sometimes struggles to go back home, although Caribbean Airlines has a number of flights a week to Trinidad. With us expanding our fleet, we thought, well, that might be a good occasion to try Trinidad, because we feel there's a strong demand. You might not all know us, but Win Air is around for 65 years. I always say we are the oldest airline in the region.
Well, the Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Eli Zakur, was one of the passengers on board the inaugural flight. He stressed the importance of the service. Let's take a look now at what else he had to say.
Today's occasion is about connection. It is about strengthening links between our Caribbean islands and creating practical, reliable pathways for people, business, and opportunity to move more freely across our region. From my perspective, as Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation and a certified commercial pilot, aviation is not abstract. It is built on preparation, professionalism, and responsibility. Every successful operation depends on sound judgment, trained people, and systems that work together. Those same principles apply to how we approach air transport policy and regional connectivity.
Also present at the ceremony was Minister of Trade, Investment and Tourism Satyakama Maharaj, who described the occasion as not just symbolic, but strategic.
For decades, the ties between Trinidad and Tobago and St. Martin have been built through people, through travel for work, education, trade, and family. Those people-to-people connections have always been the backbone of Caribbean integration, and today's inaugural flight honors that history while opening a new chapter of cooperation. This service is also an economic enabler. I have noted in recent years, Win Air has undergone a remarkable transformation. The airline has expanded its fleet, more than doubling its size since 2023. It now operates the largest intra-Caribbean network serving 17 destinations with over 30 routes. I hope I'm correct with that. In the first half of 2025 alone, Win Air recorded 16% growth in scheduled capacity, 22% increase in passengers carried, and 28% rise in total revenue. It's remarkable. These are not just numbers. They are proof of stability, reliability, and vision.
Well, Trinidad and Tobago is moving full steam ahead toward the integration of traditional medicines in the public health sector. The Minister in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Rashad Sitaran, said government is making moves to develop legislation to see this integration come to fruition. Dr. Sitaran was speaking on the Women's Perspective program on Talk City 91.1 FM on Sunday. Let's get more now from Ayana Carter.
Trinidad and Tobago's traditional medicine or bush medicine practices are deeply rooted from our African, Indian and Amerindian backgrounds. With an international thrust toward reducing the dependence on pharmaceuticals and the reduction of pharmaceutical bills, Minister in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Rashad Sitaran, said Trinidad and Tobago's bill is enormous, spending $975 million in 2025 alone.
And the trust of the World Health Organization is to incorporate traditional medicines from around the world into the public health care sector. The idea being is to reduce the the need for so many of the pharmaceuticals that many national public healthcare sectors rely upon. And we are giving patients an additional facility to access.
In December 2025, Dr. Sicharan attended the second World Health Organization Global Summit on Traditional Medicine, held in New Delhi, India.
I actually met with the World Health Director General, Dr. Tedros, and he was emphasizing to me that we here in the Caribbean, we really need to open our eyes to this right now. So the World Health Organization has mandated us, as well as all other countries. They are asking for our action plan, and we had to make firm commitments in terms of how we are going to progress in terms of putting legislation in place to incorporate traditional medications into our public healthcare sector.
This is a commitment Dr. Sicharan said the government is taking seriously and outlined the action plan toward developing legislation toward the integration of traditional medicines in the public healthcare system.
So the first thing would be a committee. Then we have to look at the labs and do some funding or legislation in terms of the certifying labs that would test these traditional medications. You know, there are a lot of so-called traditional medications that are out there. We really don't know what they have in it.
That's true.
As well as they would say they would do this and that, you know. So we need to get into the scientific basis of what is really in that medication.
Dr. Sicharan noted that while in India, connections were made for medical professionals to become certified in Ayurvedic medicine.
It's a 2-year course, and you become a specialist in Ayurvedic medicine. And we are forming agreement, a government agreement with this facility, looking at if we could send some of our doctors up there to specialize in Ayurvedic medicine.
Dr. Sicharan said this is another way to focus on the well-being of persons on a holistic level. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
It's really interesting. And in a bit of some sports this morning, the men of Prison Service FC have made their aspirations clear. A place in CONCACAF postseason action. Those aspirations took a blow on Saturday in the TT Premier Football League as the Defence Force stayed unbeaten.
FC sat in 4th position on the point standing and just out of a place in postseason action when they met the unbeaten Defence Force FC on match day 15 in the TT Premier Football League at the Arima Velodrome. Prisons almost shot themselves in the foot early in the contest with an errant back pass, while the dangerous Nicholas Dillon roamed, but goalkeeper Jabari Gray was alert. Gray was the key to the Prisons staying in the game as Defence Force laid siege. The defending champions even tried from distance. Joan Jones going just wide. Then he is stopped by Gray. But there was no stopping the power header by Sheldon Battle off the resulting corner. 1-0 Defence Force in the 43rd minute. And they held that lead to the half. Jabari Gray kept up his heroics in the second half to keep the match in reach. Tyrese Bailey denied. He then turned back Dillon after a neat steal and positive run. But after all that good work, his defense lets Jovan Jones race up the flank and kiss a shot off the far post to extend the lead for the Soldiers, Sailors and Airmen. 5 minutes into added time, Defence Force FC consolidate their top of the table status and stay unbeaten with a 2-0 win over Prison Service FC. In the opening game at the Arima Velodrome, strugglers Point Fortin Civic FC met 1976 FC Phoenix, and it was the squad from Tobago coming away with the 2-0 win. After a goalless first half, Gerard Kip Maloney opened the scoring for Phoenix in the 65th minute. DeAndre Williams sealed the victory with a goal 4 minutes into added time. The win moving Phoenix from 9th to 8th spot on the standings, while Civic are second from bottom. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
Well, follow us for these stories and more on TTT Live Online. If you have a story idea, even a press release, or you want to collaborate with us, we'd love to hear from you. Contact us today at tttoday@ttt.co.tt and be part of the conversation that's shaping our nation. Trinidad and Tobago Today, news you can trust and stories that matter. Well, coming up inside this week, don't forget we are finishing the Pavement Lime series with you. Last week we went to Moruga and Siparia, and this week, well, we are back here at home. That's right, we are going to be right opposite TTT 11A Maraval Road at Harefoot's Bar. That's Thursday, 5th February, this Thursday. And then on Friday, we head to Bruce Bar in Currap. So if you want to follow us, head across to Next 99.1 FM, their social media pages, and you can pump with us. It's the Pavement Lime, the Carnival Pump Edition. Remember, Harefoot's Bar right here on Maraval Road. And then we head to Currap on Friday. Get ready for 100% soca, 100% vibes, 100% dominance, fair play. And guess what? It is never going to be the last. We'll start telling you all about the plans for next year's Pavement Lime Pump series. And we've got some drink specials on Forest Park Puncheon all night long. We've got Carrie coming up at the top of the hour with your major network news. The time now 4 minutes before 7 o'clock. Good morning to ya.
Attention viewers in Trinidad and Tobago. The Truth of God now airs on the TTT network every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. You won't want to miss the dynamic preaching of Pastor Jennings as he speaks from God's Holy Bible. The Truth of God, Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. on the TTT network.
Carnival is more than a season. It's who we are. It's rhythm, color, history, and pure vibes from start to finish. And this Carnival, TTT, in partnership with the National Carnival Commission, is bringing you all the major moments live and full of energy. We kick things off with the youths of Steel at Junior Panorama. Then it's Pan Power all the way at Panorama, where the music hits hard and the passion runs dry. Celebrate the future of Calypso at the Junior Calypso Monarch and witness the lyrical mastery at Calypso Fiesta. Then step back into history with the reenactment of the Cambile riots. Don't miss the creativity and spectacle of the kings and queens of Carnival. And be sure to stay tuned as we turn it all the way up for the Mardi Gras. Pure performance, pure pageantry, pure carnival magic. Then follow the heartbeat of the nation with the parade of the bands on Carnival Monday and Tuesday, when the streets come alive with color, rhythm, and freedom. Live broadcasts, special shows, all the vibes. This carnival season, don't just watch it, feel it, live it, experience it right here on TTT.
Health and wellness, the core of our existence on planet Earth. Let us hear the voices of our very own citizens, our local and regional medical community, scientists and climatologists. Caribbean Medical TV is geared to developing a consciousness in our people in terms of our health and lifestyle. Knowledge is a very powerful tool, and we must empower ourselves with the information to protect against chronic and other related diseases. From the impact of climate change on our health to NCDs, Season 3 of Caribbean Medical TV tackles the challenges we all face, giving our citizens hope for a better tomorrow. Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV.
Break your hip, we don't need no big promoter. The neighbors gonna be responsible. So when you see the police, tell them come get something to eat right there in the backyard. Jam, Aviation and Bacchanal. It's nothing in nature. Money in the pocket. This life I wanna love it. Aviation and Bacchanal. It's nothing in nature.
Good morning. This is your TTT News Update at 7. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. A new air service between Trinidad and Tobago and St. Martin has officially been launched. Winair Airlines operated its inaugural flight on Sunday, a move expected to enhance air travel and strengthen connectivity between the two countries. A warm Trinidad and Tobago welcome greeted the first passengers on board Winair Airlines as it made its inaugural flight from Princess Juliana Airport in St. Martin to the Piarco International Airport on Sunday. This signaled the start of flights on the new airline between the two countries. Addressing the welcoming ceremony, Chief Executive Officer of Winair, Hans van der Weyde, said there is a demand for more flights between the two countries.
But it's also special for the inhabitants of both countries. The captain that flew the aircraft here is not only a captain, it's also our director of operations, and he is from Trinidad, and he sometimes wants to go back home. And he sometimes struggles to go back home, although Caribbean Airlines has a number of flights a week to Trinidad. With us expanding our fleet, we thought, well, that might be a good occasion to try Trinidad. Because we feel there's a strong demand.
Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Eli Zakur, was one of the passengers on board the inaugural flight. He stressed the importance of the service.
Today's occasion is about connection. It is about strengthening links between our Caribbean islands and creating practical, reliable pathways for people, business, and opportunity to move more freely across our region.
Also present at the ceremony was Minister of Trade, Investment and Tourism, Satyakama Maharaj, who described the occasion as not just symbolic but strategic. Minister Maharaj said the decision to introduce this service to TNT is a vote of confidence in our economy, tourism potential and our role as a regional hub. Several people were arrested and significant quantities of narcotics were seized during a series of police exercises conducted across the country over the weekend. Officers attached to the Central Division Task Force, Area North, and the K9 Unit conducted searches at the residence of persons of interest within the Central Division. 3 individuals were arrested: a 25-year-old man of Enterprise, Shaguanas, for possession of 174 grams of cannabis, a 42-year-old man for possession of 1 gram of cocaine, and a 23-year-old man of Endeavour Road, Shaguanas, for possession of 72 grams of cannabis. Meanwhile, in the Tobago Division, officers of the Mariah Police Station received information which led them to an abandoned structure along Cradley Trace, Concordia. A search of the location resulted in the discovery of 6 buckets, each containing a fully grown cannabis plant. The narcotics were seized. In some sport now, the 2026 Women's League football is off and running, with some 5 months of action expected. 10 teams are expected to challenge defending champions Club Sando. On Saturday, the official launch of Wolf took place at the Atterbolden Stadium. Director of Women's Football, Janelle James, remarked that this is the 31st year of a Women's League football in TNT, which should be recognized.
The truth is that we must provide environments for our young players to play, to grow, to be seen. And we are at a stage now where being seen because of social media is so important for them because it can offer them many opportunities to further their football, whether it's at school, whether it's professional. So it must not be taken lightly. Our clubs, you play such an important role in being able to provide opportunities for our young women to be seen.
And that was your TTT News Update. I am Carrie Roberts. After the break, we return to Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Next, 99.1 FM, Soca Dominion, where Soca lives.
Give me a chance to wine on you, so I can win with you, and I can jam with you. Give me another chance.
The Mother Church of the Anglican Diocese suffered significant damage
during the earthquake of 2018. Efforts are underway to raise funds to restore this national heritage site. You are invited to make your donations with monthly deposits at any branch of the First Citizens Bank, account number 2696950, Marval Road Branch, in the name of the Incorporated Trustees of the Anglican Holy Trinity Cathedral Restoration.
Hey, young ones. TTT's terrific Toon Time is just for you. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's adventure-filled too. Join us as we follow the characters you know and love. See what our hero Zach gets up to in Super Z. Dive into the action with Bugs Butt Ignition. Put on your explorer's cap and join Dada and Dada on their next adventure. And of course, we can't forget our cosmic friends on Galaxy Kids. Tune in Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. Don't miss it. It's terrific Toon Time only on TTT.
Join the next generation of change makers on CZ Secondary School Climate Quiz every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and Saturday at 5:50 p.m. only on TTT. Brought to you by Fruta.
New season equals new dreams, and many football fans are dreaming of their team actually winning this season. But the reality is that only one team can win. So many will just be dreaming and wishing and hoping that their team can deliver. Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea. Notice I have not mentioned Arsenal. Don't be upset, I'm not mentioning Man U either. This is Atto Bolden inviting all of you to follow the 12th man as they celebrate a new season on TTT and enjoy the ride.
To the polls on February 11th in a snap general election to fill all 30 seats in the House of Assembly following the dissolution of Parliament in January. Voters are heading into this election with key issues on their minds: cost of living pressures, crime and public healthcare safety, and questions about governance and accountability. Well, joining us now via Zoom is the opposition leader Ralph Thorne of the Democratic Labour Party, who is contesting this election against the governing Barbados Labour Party, led by Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley. Mr. Thorne, thank you for being with us and good morning.
Good morning, Virmala. My absolute pleasure.
All right. Well, Mr. Thorne, you've said that the Democratic Labour Party has been, I quote, preparing with deliberateness and purpose, right, for this election. Yes. What would you say is the DLP's main policy focus going into February 11th?
We're reflecting what the people in Barbados are experiencing. And in our canvassing from north to south, to east to west, cost of living is the major issue. The other major issue is crime, but the majority of people in Barbados have been struck by cost of living, and that is the major issue.
Yeah.
Of course, there are issues of governance as well, but we're finding that cost of living is the major issue. You see, it's crippling a lot of people financially, and there is a lot of hardship at this time across Barbados.
So at your national rally, you criticized regressive taxation. You outlined plans for progressive taxation, VAT reduction from, I think, 17.5%. Am I right? Protection of pensions, relief for small businesses as well included in there. Mr. Thorne, which of these measures would appear first, in your opinion, in a DLP budget?
VAT reduction. And I'll say this to you. The government has to defend its previous position on VAT, because in 2018, the government came to office promising to reduce VAT from the 17.5%. They have not done it, and they have not explained why they have not done it. It is a pledge that we are making because we recognize that VAT reduction will affect people at the cash register, when they're paying their utility bills. It will affect people's ability to spend, and it will increase spending power. And I don't think the government comes to this with any credibility, because still they must say why they did not pursue the policy that they enunciated in 2018. They've had 7+ years to do it. They have not done it, and they have not explained it. And we pledge that we will reduce VAT because it directly affects people's spending power. So that will be a major policy initiative. Of course, there's the question of pensions. And we have people who have worked in this country for a long time. They've worked hard, and they have settled into retirement. And while they have settled into retirement, they've become unsettled by continued taxation against their only income, and that income is a pension. And we are proposing to remove the taxation from pensions because they've worked hard, and they are due some compensation for the contribution that they have made to society. So that is another policy initiative that we promise to implement.
Mr. Thorne, I want to highlight something that you've spoken about. I think it's called your Barbados First policy. And you argue that, Bajan should be prioritized in leadership roles and institutions like the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and universities. Now, how would this policy be implemented while still, of course, maintaining service standards?
Well, at the very basic level, first of all, let me say that Barbados First has implications, and it symbolizes a lot. It talks about national identity, and it talks about national self-worth. Let me say to you, Virmala, it is not xenophobic. It is about affirming self-worth and identity as a Barbadian. At the practical level, we have had a situation in which a very senior minister in this government has said that we need that this country in its governance and its management of public institutions, and I quote, she said we need the best minds and the best persons. Now, that is self-contemptuous. That challenges the worth of Barbadians. And so we have had people from outside the Caribbean, and Virmala, let me hasten to say that when we speak of outsiders, we are not talking of people from the other Caribbean islands, because this party, this Democratic Labour Party, is regionalist. The history of the Democratic Labour Party is that of regionalism. It was the Democratic Labour Party that moved Barbados into Carifta, which then became CARICOM. As a party, we are still committed to the regionalist effort. But at a practical level, we have had a situation in this country in which our public institutions have been headed by people from outside the region. Now, if you come with competence, that's fine. But first option must go to Caribbean persons, and we insist Caribbean persons, not Barbadian, because ultimately we see Barbados as a state within the United States of the Caribbean. We are still committed to that ideal. But I want to give you a specific example. We have the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. You must have heard of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The Queen Elizabeth Hospital has fallen into severe decline. It is now a national disaster area, and I don't mind saying that to you. We have people going to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in the accident and emergency department, spending 3 days and then dying. And I don't wish to be alarmist, I don't wish to be dramatic, but that is a fact. And photographs were taken of people lying on the floor in the accident and emergency department. And the CEO of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital apparently said that this is not the situation, that perhaps the gurney was lying low, and it may appear as if they were lying on the floor. Now, when he said that, people across Barbados had seen videos of people lying on the floor because the place is in chaos. But he is from England, and I don't criticize him for being from England, but we insist that there are people from Barbados and from the Caribbean who are able to run our public institutions. In fact, Virmala, one of the more recent CEOs of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital was a Trinidadian, I think Tobagonian. And again, part of the regionalist initiative, part of this policy, this philosophy of national self-worth, and national extends itself across the Caribbean. We've had another situation of something called the Hope Housing Project. Now, that is a major scandal in Barbados. Who has been in charge of the housing scandal? I think an Englishman and a South African. So that there is no evidence that our public institutions are better run by people who are from outside this region. And that is not all. I can go to the Barbados Tourism Management Inc. or Marketing Inc. Again, it was run by a German. And I don't think he covered himself in any glory for the short time that he was here. He left very quietly. And so that is all on the theme of Barbados First. Barbados First, meaning national identity, national self-worth, because the government has challenged national self-worth, and the Democratic Labour Party will reaffirm the ideal of national self-worth, which, as I said, Virmala, embraces our Caribbean brothers and sisters in high positions of management of our public institutions.
Mr. Thorne, I want to talk a little bit about the elections that are coming up. Now, you've repeatedly raised concerns about the voters list, missing names, deceased persons still registered, and what you describe as irregularities at the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. What reform would a DLP government introduce to strengthen voter registration process and EBC oversight going forward?
Thanks for that question. First of all, it begins at a new policy initiative, a new law. I think we need fixed terms, not fixed terms, fixed dates. Like the United States, they know that after 4 years, in November, you're going to have an election. Our proposal is that we need fixed date reform. We need to establish a fixed date for the election so that everyone knows when the election is coming, so that the Electoral and Boundaries Commission knows that within a certain deadline, it must have that voters list. Part of the problem here is that the public does not know when an election is coming. It is at the discretion of one human being who happens to be the Prime Minister. A Prime Minister can, and I say this, a Prime Minister can ambush a country with a date that catches everyone by surprise, including the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, including voters who may not have had the time to effect their registrations. So the problem is that we have had an election date announced before the EBC has been able to resolve all of the issues, all of the irregularities pertaining to that list, so that political ambush has affected the exercise, and a lot of people have been caught off the list. Now, they have a personal responsibility to ensure that they're on the list, but the Electoral and Boundaries Commission also has a responsibility to ensure registration. But beyond that, I think it is irresponsible for a government to call an election before the deadline for registration has passed. You see, Virmala, January 31st was the deadline for the list to be perfected, for all irregularities to have been resolved. That date did not come. The election was announced before the date for the regularization of the list, let me put it like that, so that we have been thrown into chaos. And I want to say this, if one person who ought to be eligible to vote is off that list, democracy suffers. You see, democracy is not about the rights of the majority. Democracy is often about the rights of the minority, and that minority may be one person. Under the Constitution, the fundamental rights section speaks of individual rights. It doesn't speak of group rights. It doesn't speak of collective rights. It speaks of the rights of the individual. And if one individual, one person, has been excluded from that list, democracy has suffered. There has been disrepair or injury to the Constitution of this country. And I say to you, Virmala, there has been more than one person. We don't have the numbers, but every constituency into which we go on our campuses, we are encountering people who say that they are off the list. As I said, if it is one person, if it is 100 persons, their rights are not inferior or no less sacred to the rights of 10,000 who may be on the list. And that is the essence of democracy within a constitution, within a free constitution. And as I said, a constitution speaks to individual rights. The individual rights of too many Barbadians have been injured by the irregularity of one, an ambush election, and two, having their names not appear on the electoral list. And I want to say this as well. This is not to say that we have been caught by surprise. I heard the Prime Minister saying that we were not prepared. Look, we had our 30 candidates long before the Barbados Labour Party. In fact, the Barbados Labour Party named its 30th candidate on the same night that the election was announced. Tell me who is unprepared. So that is a red herring. This thing of unpreparedness. We held our first meeting before the Barbados Labour Party. We have had our 30 candidates. We're prepared. We've been holding our meetings. We've been canvassing. And we have been, Virmala, very effective.
Mr. Thorne, crime and public safety are also major concerns for voters in this election. What specific policy or legislative action would the DLP government take to address something like crime in Barbados?
For the last 2 years in the House and outside of the House, I have been calling on the government to pass anti-gang legislation. And I've done that not because it sounds pretty, but based on the evidence. I happen to know that this government has information, intelligence information, that a lot of the crime is gang-related. That has been said. There's evidence of it. The police here have said it. The high command of the police have identified the existence of gangs as a source of crime in this country. And therefore, what do? Logically, you implement anti-gang legislation. I've asked for that 2 years ago. The government has resisted. In fact, I have reminded the government that your country, Virmala, has anti-gang legislation. Jamaica has anti-gang legislation. The Turks and Caicos, they too have anti-gang legislation. I believe Antigua has anti-gang legislation. So that all of these countries that have been afflicted by crime, which is rooted in the existence of gangs, have implemented anti-gang legislation. Because we have a lot of young men who are shooting each other, and there's a sense in which both parties, the victim and the perpetrator, are both victims. But we are victims too. Those of us who live in fear are victims. So what do? Do you bury one and imprison the other one? And the problem continues. The problem continues because at the apex, there is a hidden hand behind all of this violence. Anti-gang legislation will go towards that hidden hand and expose it. And not only expose it, but put it on trial and hopefully convict it. Anti-gang legislation. And this government has refused, absolutely refused to pass anti-gang legislation. We're asking why. But Virmala, that is one of the policies that a new government would immediately implement. Because I think people in Barbados pretty much know now that a lot of our crime is rooted in gang violence and gang activity and turf wars and that kind of thing. But the collateral damage, we're the victims in the issue of collateral damage.
Mr. Thorne, I want to ask you a really loaded question here. If elected, what does your first 100 days in government look like?
Repair. One of the other concerns that we as Barbadians have has been the government's policy of borrowing, not millions, billions. I think this government within the last year has borrowed more than $2 billion. And it has not gone into the productive sectors. In fact, Barbadians are asking, where has this money gone? And that's an interesting question. So that within the first 100 days, as I said earlier, we have to attend to the question of that. We have to give spending power back to the people of Barbados with the reduction of that. That's one of the first things we would aim to do. And secondly, we would have to repair the economy in terms of having those borrowed monies go into the productive sectors, because we are not satisfied that they have gone into the productive sectors. I'll give you an example. We borrowed $125 million to build a hospital. The hospital is non-existent. Where's the money? Where has it gone? We borrowed $25 million for cricket development. What cricket development has occurred in Barbados? Not one club has received a bat or a ball. So that, Virmala, the answer to your question, repair of this society, repair of this economy, and return spending power to the people of Barbados. Those are the urgent matters. Crime, The question of the anti-gang legislation, we have to have a new bail act as well, because we have the problem of people committing murder after they've got bail for an earlier murder. Yeah, so that a lot of things will be on our agenda, but I use the word repair of the damage done to this society and to this economy by this government.
Mr. Thorne, on a final note, you're going up against Mia Motley, who has global support and adoration as well. What would you say to the people of Barbados who are heading to the polls on February 11th?
A global reputation which was deliberately pursued. That's no accident. You may consider it a cynical view, but I always felt that the pursuit of global fame was done deliberately to enhance a local reputation. Now you may have enhanced your reputation globally. How has it translated into local results? What we've had neglect of this economy. We've had moral and social decay here, so that global reputation has enhanced an individual reputation, but it has done nothing, absolutely nothing for the people of Barbados. Look at this society and see. Look at the cost of living. Look at crime. Look at governance. Look at integrity legislation that has not visited our parliament. And it did visit our parliament, but it was never passed and became law. So that a global reputation serves an individual interest beyond Barbados. But locally, it has done nothing but the child and the old person in Barbados who is awaiting some prosperity, who is awaiting comfort, who is awaiting safety, who is awaiting good health, who is awaiting good education. It has done nothing for the people of Barbados.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Thorne and the Democratic Labour Party. Good luck to you and your candidates going forth into February 11. Thanks for spending your morning with us.
Thank you very much, Virmala. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
All right, the time now, 7:27 a.m. Just a gentle reminder to you, this week we've got the Pavement Lime Series winding down, the Carnival Pump Edition. It's happening right here opposite TTT. That's on Maraval Road, Hereford's Bar, Thursday, 5th February. And then on Friday, we end at Bruce Bar in Currep. That's Friday, 6th February. For all the information you need, head across to our social media pages, Next 99.1 FM. We take a short break and come back with more on Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Talk City 91.1. Thought-provoking conversations, bold perspectives, voices you trust. Talk City 91.1 is launching bigger, bolder, and more powerful than ever before.
Yes, Talk City 91.1 FM.
A brand new era of talk radio is here. With voices you know, trust, and respect. Get ready for an all-new lineup of the very best in talk. Andy Williams, Lennox Smith, Stephen Reese, Mr. X, Derek Charbodi, Roland Stewart, Sharon Farfan, Sudath Prasad, Heavy Duty, Alex Asing, Karen Francisco, Cherry-Leen Lewis, Short Pants, and more of the voices shaping the national conversation. From hard-hitting current affairs to real community issues, culture, politics, social development, and the stories that matter most to you. This is where Trinidad and Tobago comes to talk.
So I'll go right to on Talk City 91.1, where we're going to give you something new, something hot every day, Monday to Friday.
Listen on 91.1 FM and connect on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. New shows, new features, big giveaways. Talk City 91.1. Your city, your voice.
With the carnival season in full swing and carnival just days away, Shaguanas Carnival is set to see several improvements in 2026 as organizers move to enhance the overall experience for masqueraders and spectators. Plans are expected to focus on better infrastructure, improved traffic management, and upgraded amenities along the parade routes. Now, organizers say the changes are aimed at increasing safety, boosting efficiency, and of course creating a more enjoyable carnival atmosphere for all participants. Further details on the planned improvements are expected to be released in the coming months.
Patrons can look forward to several activities in the borough of Shaguanas for Carnival 2026. Deputy Mayor and Chairman of the Shaguanas Carnival Committee, Melissa Jadunanan, during the borough's carnival launch on Saturday, listed some of the activities on the calendar, including stick fighting, ex-tempo, and kings and queens competitions.
Only the best will grace our stage. We have also a beloved Juve and a delightful Kiddies Carnival, and the Parade of the Bands. Each event is crafted to bring out the carnival spirit that lives in us all.
Ms. Jadunanan added that for the first time in several years, masqueraders will have a stage which they can cross.
The joy of crossing that stage is your privilege as a masquerader, a gift we are thrilled to share with you. It is your energy, your creativity, and your passion that adds to the magnetism that is Carnival.
Ms. Jadunanan took the opportunity to thank the Shaguanas business community for their involvement in this year's activities.
Your generosity and support are instrumental in this year's events and for them being a resounding success. Today we are building a platform for our culture to flourish. Thank you, Corporate Shaguanas.
Nicole Duki, TTT News.
Well, our 7 p.m. newscaster, Mariah, actually did something really cool this weekend. She caught up with Iowa George. We've got some of that for you right now.
This song had just come out like 5 hours. We actually ran on stage and just mash up the whole place.
All right, so today I'm with another one of our Be Mobile ambassadors as we continue to talk about bringing it on for Carnival 2026. And you, Iowa George, you need no introduction to the people. But of course, you are somebody that has been bringing it on for Carnival year after year. And I'd want to know that secret ingredient that keeps you so consistent and so relevant.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's paying attention, you know, because, I mean, Carnival always evolves. You know, sometimes evolve for the better, sometimes evolve for the worse.
Yeah.
You take it and evolve, you know what I'm saying? And if you realize where we are this time, it's like a reset, you know what I'm saying? So you realize the people is jumping up more to older music than new music. That's because the whole soca music industry correct itself, you understand? So my bring on this year is to select some Iowa George that you ain't hear for a long time. You know, songs like From the Bottom of the Caribbean, Soca People Love to Ride. Wherever you are, you must remember, be mobile.
Oh, I love it. How do you get ready before you go on the stage? And I'm speaking about what goes on in that brain of yours.
What has happened is if somebody is performing before me, I'll be paying attention to the person. So what I'll try to do is see where the person is ending, and then I will select one of my songs that will do good after that person.
Yeah.
Say somebody do a groovy soca before me, then I will tell my DJ, play me 155, because I wouldn't want a man singing at 105 song, and then I just drop on the stage and sing at 160.
Okay, so you're keeping the vibe, the energy.
So I try to keep it in a way that, you know, the way musically it will feel correct to the people. We gotta take it a man one track, but musically it has to be correct.
Another question for you, which song of yours have you felt has been bringing on that energy for 2026? Like when you go to the parties or you hear from your friends who attend, which of your song would you say?
Well, the new song this year is a song called Run, you understand? That one is doing very good in the new category. But the number one song in Trinidad and Tobago over the last 20 years is Trinidad on fire, Tobago on fire, Trinidad on fire. The people want water, Anybody could go on stage and sing before me.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
That mash up the place.
Once them done and I go on the stage and sing that, the crowd leave from here and go there.
I always say the true essence of an artist is who can keep reinventing themselves, right? Because you can come out today with one hit song and then everybody on fire, and then after that, they don't care about you or you just become irrelevant. You have stayed relevant, and to me, that speaks volumes, right?
Right.
Based on what you've seen for 2026, are there any upcoming artists, or maybe just an artist that you find has really been bringing it on for 2026?
Well, young brother has been bringing it on from 25, and he's still bringing it on in 26. And I like him for the monarch this year, or what Jack Calypso used to get there.
All right, always good to hear an artist, endorsing another one. What about the youngsters? Like, any advice you would have? Now, you spoke about young brother, but just like an artist who would be taking part in Carnival for the first time, because you also hold many different hats now with the NCC and all of that. If you had to give them some advice, what would you say to them?
Well, if I have to give the young artists an advice, I will tell them, if you want to be involved in this, love this. If you love it, you will like to do it, you will enjoy doing it, and once you like it and you enjoy doing it, everything will follow.
Now, for 2026 and beyond, what can we expect from Iowa George?
Well, this year I've gone back on the road and tour, because it have some little thing on the international part of the soca thing have to correct, and I have to go to make the correction.
Okay.
So I'll be going on the road and tour this year back again. I already booked for Barbados on the 7th of March. Booked for Jamaica on the 6th of April, and that's how we go.
I mean, there's only one question I have to ask you. Who is the biggest, the fastest, and the best network in Trinidad and Tobago?
All they don't know is P-Mobile.
Tell me a bit about your favorite carnival memory, and I know you'd have so much memories, so I'm taking you back. Tell me.
My favorite carnival memory is the year when I came out with that song with Kes called Stage Go Band. They invited us to sing in a party in the airport. It was by the airport, all inclusive by the airport. The song had just come out like 5 hours. We actually ran on stage and just mashed up the whole place. I never seen that in my life. 5 hours, and all they gone so bad already. I actually see it on stage now. I say, this song is on 5 hours, all they gone so bad already. I say, kept singing, and I just burst again. And that was history. Road March 2020.
Well, that's how Neil Iowa George is bringing it on with B-Mobile for Carnival 2026. Stay tuned, because you never know, you might be next.
The next 99.1 FM Pavement Lime Caravan rolled into the borough of Siparia on Friday night with an overwhelming response from patrons and artists. Now, this is the 4th Pavement Lime for this season, and the caravan is being welcomed by all. We have more now in this story. Well, this week we've got that happening for you. Don't forget, you can see us this Thursday and also Friday. We'll give you all the details. We take a break and come back with more on TNT Today.
Struggling with heart health or frequent migraines? Discover the simple steps to reclaim your energy and vitality.
We're diving into a topic that affects about 422 million people around the world: diabetes.
Tune into Wellness Unlocked, the series that delivers expert advice, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and well-being. Your health matters. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on TTT and take the first step toward better health.
I come from a different life, never had...
Yo, Carnival! It's your boy K.I. from K.I. and the band Trevini. And it's that time of year again. Time to party and time to fet. Let me ask you a question. You ever take a drink from somebody you don't know? Free drinks come with a heavy price, and this year, we're not thirsty for trouble. Always keep your eyes on your drinks. If you did not see it poured, do not drink it at all. Remember, better choices lead to a safer carnival. Trust me, me gal say we can be happy, cause she father he don't like me. K to the I, love you.
We can be happy, cause she father he don't like me.
Hey young ones, TTT's terrific tune time is just for you. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's adventure-filled too. Join us as we follow the characters you know and love. See what our hero Zach gets up to in Super Z. Dive into the action with Bugs Butt Ignition. Put on your explorer's cap and join Dada and Dada on their next adventure. And of course, we can't forget our cosmic friends on Galaxy Kids. Tune in Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. Don't miss it. It's terrific tune time only on TTT.
The Mother Church of the Anglican Diocese suffered significant damage during the earthquake of 2018. Efforts are underway to raise funds to restore this national heritage site. You are invited to make your donations with monthly deposits at any branch of the First Citizens Bank, account number 2696950, Marval Road Branch, in the name of the Incorporated Trustees of the Anglican Holy Trinity Cathedral Restoration.
Join the next generation of change makers on CZ Secondary School Climate Quiz every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and Saturday at 5:50 p.m. only on TTT. Brought to you by Fruta.
When it matters, we're there, reporting the news as it happens, because your world can't wait. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
The time now, 7:43 a.m. We really do hope that you're having a good Monday morning. Your week has been off to an amazing start. As we count down to Carnival 2026, we know you're excited. We shift the conversation just a little bit now to Carnival and culture. Someone who joined us just a few days ago, but of course, we can never get enough of the conversation with him. This morning, sitting in studio with me, the chairman of the NACC, Mr. Mbao Moheni. Good morning, Mr. Moheni.
Good morning.
It's good to have you in studio. Last time you were on Zoom.
Yes.
So I'm glad that we can continue our conversation, our dialogue. So there's been many changes happening throughout the season with your events. Specifically, I think the semifinals. And that's something I wanted to ask you last week. Tell me, how has that impacted the quality of competition or the competition in the season itself this year?
Let me just give a little background to it first, because over the past recent years, we have been seeing an increase in the level of participation, and last year was a significant year. So we decided, let us put a semi-final so that you have so many more Calypsonians and they just come and they audition and then that's it. So we created an extra space. Instead of having 16 participants moving forward from the auditions, we carried forward 30.
More opportunity.
Yes, into a semi-final stage. And it worked very well. Not only did we have a wonderful performance on the 18th at the John Cupid Carnival Village, a fantastic program, but it created a new level of competitiveness, because we say you are performing as an artist, you should be competitive, you are doing your best to win, even though we are trying to build a fraternity. There must be unity between them. There must be, okay, you want to win, but that does not mean that it has to be acrimonious or anything like that. And what happened is that seeing others perform at that level it has inspired the collective to do better. So tomorrow, I know we're going to have a fantastic program coming out of the experience they would have had at the semi-final stage of the competition.
Mr. Mohini, let's talk about the quality of performances, the contributions. Every year, it obviously gets better and better. What do you think about that?
No, that is quite correct. And this year is the 40th edition. It's the 42nd year, but we lost 2 years to COVID. So it's the 40th edition of the Young Kings. And the Young Kings has become a very prized competition. Some of the artists will tell you about the amount of, well, they call it gigs they get, both here regionally as well as internationally, coming out of having that Young King title. And if I could just say very quickly that the Young Kings competition was established to give new Calypsonians national recognition, so that every year the winner moves on. Okay, we have given you have that national recognition now. Let us see what you can go and do with it. So we don't allow them to come back.
Yeah, that's something I actually learned about this week when we were discussing that. And that's so there's no one defending their title.
No. And at first people say, but that's madness. You are letting your best person move out. But it has worked quite well. You know, because you go back, the first winner was King Luther. The second was, the third was Bali. The second was David Wather. And then you would have had a number coming between, like Bayern London, Marshall Montano. You call the names. And as they win, they took that title and they made a career with it.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of success coming out of Young Kings. Well, speaking about that, the finals is happening.
Yes.
I know you were very busy and also very excited. Lots coming up tomorrow.
Yes, that's tomorrow.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. at the Grandstand, Queen's Park, Savannah, which has been the home for quite some time now, since we moved out of Skinner's Park, where the Young Kings actually was birthed. You know, and that program tomorrow, we expect it to be a fantastic program. If I could just quickly run through
Be my guest.
the finalists. You have Aaron Duncan, Birthplace, Akeem Chance, Pretty, Jamming, Andre Nelson, You Can't Stop the Music, Caston Cupid, Mr. Robert Ball, Dorian Greenwich, better known as Pharaoh, singing B Sharp, Dave Michael, Patriot, Mother Music, Junior Noel, Mr. Famous, Africa Rising, Kadeem Graham, A Better Way, Mark Pierre, How You Feeling, Nicholas Ashby, Nico Ash, Special Assignment, Nicholas Shashi Gosain, St. Nick singing Tribute to the Calypsonians, Niall Manswell, My Prayer for Peace, Oscar Benjamin, Oscar B, AI versus Man. Interesting topic. Rivaldo London, Water Thicker. He didn't say any ticket on what. Robert Dean, Master G, Do Put Me Day, and Sherwin Barber, Becomer. First time in the Young Kings, he is singing Voicemail to Mother Kamala.
Wow. So that's going to be a really, really bumper show.
Yes.
What can we look forward to tomorrow?
16 finalists would be competing tomorrow. And the best person we hope will emerge as the winner.
Well, for those of us who are unsure how we can be a part of the celebrations and the competition, can you tell our viewers?
Okay. The entry fee is $250. You could get it at the NECC office. You could get it from any of these Calypsonians listed here. And that's basically it.
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to most tomorrow, Mr. Mohini?
What I'm looking forward to most of all is seeing those artists go out there and do their very best, which I expect them to do. The program, it is, as I said, it is going to be very competitive, because it's the second time they are lining up against them, each other, because they did, well, it's actually the third time at the auditions, at the semifinals, and now at the finals. It's the first time we're having 3 layers, and we will see how it all ends.
Well, it was a short season, and there was a lot of work that you had to put in, and your organization, of course. What can we look forward to next year? Any surprises coming maybe next year? I know it's a little bit early, but I know the work always starts very, very soon.
Definitely. But next year would really be determined after we do an analysis of what happened this year, and we look at it. We're going to make decisions. The thing about it is that our objective has been to develop the art form. As a matter of fact, when NECC was founded in 1974, it took us 11 years before we began competitions. We had a program that we ran for a number of years called Black Traditions in Art, and that was to remove the shackles from Calypso. Because just as our foreparents were enslaved, Calypso was enslaved. After January and February, there was no Calypso. It's the only culture in the world. As a matter of fact, on Independence Day, when a DJ put on a Calypso at the request of someone who was saying, this is our independence, in 1962, the audience boiled it down. No, we don't want that. This is not Carnival. And for the first time, we began in 1974 to have concerts outside of Carnival to promote Calypso.
Yeah. Always a great conversation with you, Mr. Mbao Mohini, the chairman of the NACC. We're looking forward to Young King Finals taking place tomorrow, February 3rd. Well, this is where we get ready to shut it down this morning on Trinidad and Tobago Today. We're going to leave you with something really, really special. Remember, we said we head into Siparia last week, Friday night, that is, an overwhelming response from patrons and artists. We're finally going to get to show that to you now. This is the 4th Pavement line for the season, and the caravan is being welcomed by all. We have more now for you in this story.
Not at Rampee's Bar in Siparia on Friday night, then you missed out on the action. The next 99.1 FM Pavement Lime Caravan took over the streets with a massive 40-foot trailer, live DJs and a full cast of entertainers. There was non-stop jamming from start to finish. Speaking to TTT News, a soca artist, Devon Harris, known as Dev, endorsed the caravan.
Taking it to Moruga, Siparia, Cuba, etc. is a good vibes, you know what I mean? So it's something I think we should continue bringing the vibes and the culture to the people rather than people coming to us all the time, because not everybody could come to us now. You know what I mean? So you see the turnout here tonight.
Dev also took the opportunity to comment on the type of music being released for the season.
It's crazy. You see Christo, do darling, Avile, you see that tune? Full blown. Teja, Ding Dong, Wadix, Liro. It have a lot of, there's so many songs I ain't even call right now that mashing up lava, all of them. So I think the music this year, awesome. You know what I mean? The music this year is great.
Meanwhile, Dwayne Labari, known as Stouty, endorsed the next 99.1 FM Fair Play campaign.
This year, the Fair Play campaign actually helps Stouty. And everybody is here in my Soca 2026 release shake. Stouty Shake is out on all platforms right now.
Next week, the next 99.1 FM family will bring the curtains down on this year's Pavement Lime Caravan at our head office at 11A Marval Road in Port of Spain on Thursday and at Bruce Bar in Kirab on Friday. Nicole Duki, TTT News.
Well, that's where we say thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hope you had a good Monday morning with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 to 8, where we do this all over again. But we leave you with some sweet pan. The Lizard, BP Renegades, 283.5 points, scoring the highest this weekend. We'll leave you with that. And of course, your major network news comes up at the top of the hour on TTT. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Attention viewers in Trinidad and Tobago. The Truth of God now airs on the TTT network every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. You won't want to miss the dynamic preaching and teaching of Pastor Jennings as he speaks from God's Holy Bible.
Believe what God says.
The Truth of God, every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on Trinidad and Tobago television. You can also watch The Truth of God 24/7 at the TOG.tv.
I'm Renee Sion with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update at 8. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. The end of the state of emergency of January 31st has become a major topic of discussion. The minister said that lessons learned during the state of emergency have helped shape clear goals aimed at ensuring effective short, medium, and long-term planning. These insights, he noted, will guide the development of strategies designed to strengthen preparedness, improve coordination, and support more sustainable decision-making moving forward.
A reduction in crime. So the association to that reduction is that there have been a suppression of crime. And yes, the state of emergency and the legal muscle that it gave to law enforcement would have assisted that. But there was more to that. It involved the coordination, the intelligence gathering, and the working together of all agencies focused on keeping crime suppression down and more so targeted policing.
Mr. Hira said that as the country advances, strengthening the court-related aspects of the gains achieved during the state of emergency will be critical in managing the aftermath of the SOE period. He noted that reinforcing these areas will help ensure continuity, accountability, and sustained progress beyond the SOE.
The opportunity to detain people under the detention orders. It gave the opportunity to remove certain people of interest, persons of interest, from various communities, and they were held. I would have gone further to say, however, there was a good enough period to work closer with the prosecutorial process.
Moving to some entertainment news now, a top-class showdown is on the cards for Calypso Fiesta 2026 as 40 of the nation's highest-ranking contestants have been selected to bring the heat on the road to the Mardi Gras. The names of the contenders include Brian London, Devon Seal, Giselle Fraser, Ricky Jai, Terry Lyons, Young Brother, Squeezy Rankin, the Calypso Princess, Karine Ashe, and so much more. The full list of the challenges can be found on Tuco's Facebook and Instagram pages. This is the semi-final round of the National Calypso Monarch Competition 2026, which is carded for Saturday, 7th February from 2 p.m. And continuing with seasonal news, Shaguanas Carnival is set to see several improvements in 2026 as organizers move to enhance the overall experience for masqueraders and spectators. Plans are expected to focus on better infrastructure, improved traffic management, and upgraded amenities along the parade routes. Organizers say the changes are aimed at increasing safety, boosting efficiency, and creating a more enjoyable carnival atmosphere for all participants. Further details on the planned improvements are expected to be released in the coming months.
There's going to be a stage after a number of years in Shaguanas, and that is one of the first things that we discussed even with the band members and the mass bands, and they are all excited for that. There's also going to be events. That first time you'll see in Shaguanas as well, like a stick fighting competition. There's going to be extempo, kings and queens competition. So it's going to be amazing stuff.
All right, this was revealed by Mayor Faik Mohammed. He made the disclosure while speaking to TTT News during the official launch on Saturday. In some sport news now, the 2026 Women's League football is off and running with some 5 months of action expected. 10 teams are expected to challenge defending champions Club Sando. On Saturday, the official launch of Wolf took place at the Atto Bolden Stadium. Director of Women's Football, Janelle James, remarked that this is the 31st year of a Women's League football in Trinidad and Tobago, which should be recognized.
The simple truth is that we must provide environments for our young players to play, to grow, to be seen. And we are at a stage now where being seen because of social media is so important for them because it can offer them many opportunities to further their football, whether it's at school, whether it's professional. So it must not be taken lightly. Our clubs, you play such an important role in being able to provide opportunities for our young women to be seen.
And that was your TTT News update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Have a good day.
This is TTT. Live for local.